Hey guys, this is Khavrion here with another battle report. This is going to be me as vanilla Aleph against Gyro as combined army in a game of Annihilation. This is just a pickup game, not for a tournament or anything. But it was an opportunity for me to use this mid-ranger style vanilla Aleph list that I've been really enjoying recently, and I wanted to make a battle report about it. So the mission is Annihilation, which is a straightforward kill mission. Kill more stuff, have more stuff survive, kill more lieutenants if you can. Like I said, straightforward. Not even going to pull up the PDF. Instead, because the thing I'm excited about this battle report are the armies, I'm going to dive right into them. So I am once again running vanilla Aleph in the mid-ranger style pioneered by Dre. In order to give credit to this creator, I have chosen to call this mid-rangers there. And this is a style of vanilla Aleph in which you leverage mid-range 30-40-ish cost troopers who can take care of themselves and do everything kind of really well. Last battle report I talked about Oideros as a poster child. Today I'll talk about Penthesilea as a poster child. Penny here has changed a lot over the recent months. She got reworked during the Steel Phalanx overhaul, and she benefited from the cost reduction that went into bikes getting changed. Compared to previous versions, Penthesilea is cheaper than ever and able to do a whole lot of different things. As a 2-wound mimetic operator with bioimmunity and BTS-3, she's going to be fairly tough against a lot of threats. With CC-23, CC attack -6, and a monofilament close combat weapon, she is a genuine threat to things like tags. While at BS-13 with an SMG and nanopulsar +1 burst, she is reasonably competent as a shooter if she can get close. In order to get close, she has 8-6 move, which is just insanely fast, and she has her own smoke grenades in case you want to use those. Rounding all that out, she has the specialist operative skill. What this means is that Penthesilea can kinda do anything. She can race around the battlefield like crazy, doing a little bit of gunfighting, a little bit of CC, a little bit of button pushing, a little bit of smoke throwing. Whatever job you need to get done, if you've got the orders, Penthesilea has a chance of being able to do it. Now, compared to Oideros, she is a lot less reliable. Her guns are much closer range. Her mimetism and overall toughness are offset by the fact that she has a lousy S4 motorcycle base. And her smoke, which gets thrown on a 14 because Phys 11, has a high potential to fail multiple times in a row, which can be really frustrating and order intensive. So for many things you want to get done, Penthesilea is rarely going to be your first choice. However, she is almost always going to be a second choice, no matter what job you need done. And at 8-6, she's a plan B that's never too far away. This ability to kinda do anything kinda anywhere without needing someone else to help out is what makes Penthesilea a mid-ranger. And while she's the plan B mid-ranger, at 29 points, that's okay. If you never need to reach for her, she hasn't put a huge dent in your list. Anyway, back to the actual list. I'll start off by talking about the things that I consider staples of mid-ranger play. Unsurprisingly, Penthesilea is on this list. I would also include Hippolyta, Machaon, and Atalanta. Hippolyta, Penthesilea, and Machaon are all standard mid-ranger elements, able to take care of themselves and get work done if they just get orders, while Atalanta provides the absolutely necessary long-range threat that I think a list like this needs. She's not the only way to do that job, and I think Dre's actual version of the list has Armand instead of Atalanta, but I have taken Atalanta, and I think I would continue to do so. Next up are picks that are specific to QC and Rescue, which is what this list was made for. Specifically, I'm talking about the Mark II Hacker and Dart. Both of these pieces are tough midfield camo markers that are worth points in zones if that's what you need, and can also grab civilians if that's what you need. I will not need either of these things in Annihilation, but that's why they're there. In a more general list, I would probably swap out the Mark II for the Mark I. The Mark I is cheaper, and mostly what I want is someone who can hack through the Lamids and Probots that are in my DC, and in that job, the Mark I Hacker does its job just fine. Dart I would probably just turn into Oideros. They are not at all the same piece, but I think Oideros is better for the philosophy of mid-rangers. After that, you got your standard pieces. These 4 are Cheerleaders, the Probot's S4, which kind of stinks, but I like having a DZ repeater, and, he's a cheerleader. 2 Lamids are awesome, they're really good, and of course Liberto is really good. Which honestly just leaves the Beast Hunter as the only piece that I haven't talked about yet. I've included this guy because Dre hypes him up an awful lot, and remember, I made this list for QC and Rescue, and in that context, he can be kind of nice because he can rescue someone, he's got marker state, he starts a little bit further forward. But I confess, when it actually comes time to play this guy, we're going to see that I don't really know what to do with him. I use the 9-point deployment zone Beast Hunter in places like Toha a lot, and moving forward I may just stick with them. Anyway, that's my list. Next up, my opponent's list. Gyro put together this list that features a Zeodron and Sheskeen, and I kind of like it. Like most combined army lists, it has a lot of cheap pieces that are then meant to supplement two expensive ones. You've got your guided missile pitcher package in the Darthawk, T-Drone, and Bit and Kiss. You've got your R-Drones and Taiga Group 2 down here. You have a nice little nest of camo with the Shrouded, Caliban, and Liberto. If everybody's standing up, it can be really hard to tell what's the mine and what's not. And then you've got Sheskeen as your lieutenant, really good. A Zeodron, that's a tag. And then the Nexus Engineer NCO with 2 slave drones, which I think is really good to support the tag and also all the bots. Of these pieces, I think the Zeodron is the most interesting. At 52 points, he's not too expensive. And having 3 structure, armor and BTS 6, and bioimmunity, he's actually really obnoxiously tough. In fact, against certain threats, namely those that leverage AP, he is tougher than any other tag in the game. Remember that AP ammo only halves one of your armor and BTS, so the Zeodron can use bioimmunity to switch to the other one and effectively become immune to AP. Meanwhile, the Blitzen is a perfectly serviceable ARO weapon that isolates whatever it hits and has good range bands. So if what you want is a chunky ARO that can soak up enemy firepower, the Zeodron is a very cost-efficient option. And supporting him with the Nexus Engineer NCO is also really nice. All that said, I think this list is a bit short on oppressive gunfighting pieces. For example, if you recall the game of Frostbite I played in round 4 of the IGL Satellite, in that game, basically nothing in the Combined Army player's list could contest Phoenix on ARO. I think that's also true in this list. The Zeodron might be really tough in ARO, but in the active turn, he's basically just a BS-13 Red Fury. On top of all that, this list doesn't have any smoke. So if it had to go through a really tough ARO like Phoenix or like a Core-linked heavy infantry, it would basically have to rely on guided missiles to do that. And that makes me a little bit nervous. All that said, I do think it hangs together really well, and let's see it on the table. Here then is the map. This is a custom map by Gyro, and one of the fun facts is that it can be used for literally any mission. These sarcophagi show where the civilians would have to be placed in rescue. These could be mind-wiped servers. Obviously, you've got the objective room, and so on. You don't need to do that with your maps, but it's a nice touch. Another nice touch is that the deployment zones are actually completely symmetric. If you reflect across this line, you'll get basically the same thing. And I say basically because this statue isn't facing exactly correctly the same. Despite this, the deployment zones are actually defensive enough that I think that they are fairly balanced even if you have to go second. Again, this was not necessary, but it's a nice cute touch. Aside from all this, I will say the map is very flat and also has some long left-right fire lanes. For example, a model sitting here can see all the way across there. A model here can see, like that, as well as, someone here could see like that, and so on. The front-back fire lanes are interrupted. These fences are to be treated as solid, but the left-right can be fairly long. The flatness of the map is less remarkable, but it does mean that Hippolyta's super jump isn't going to be super useful, and I have to basically put all my stuff on the ground in the deployment zone, which makes this S4 a real pain. Still, I'm fairly happy with my deployment, so I'm not going to stress about it too much. Speaking of deployment, this picture came actually after I had done my first turn, but not much has changed, so I'll take you through it. You have a net rod here, they both failed to drop. There's a net rod tucked back here. This is the Liberto's mine. The actual Liberto deployed up here, but I moved him back because I didn't want him to die. Flashball spot here, flashball spot here. The flashball spot started over here, but I moved him up because I wanted him on ARO. Missile launcher bot, Penny. This is Machaon. He started back here, but I moved him a little bit further forward because I wanted to get him away from the net rods in case there was guided missile threat coming. This is a post-human proxy Mark II hacker. He's there basically to protect Machaon against guided missile stuff. He'll just die slowly, but maybe he'll die slowly enough. Hippolyta is here. This is Dart, and the Beast Hunter was there. The only piece that's missing is Atalanta. She was deployed in hidden deployment right here. On the other hand, this is my opponent's deployment. Well, actually, it's after my first turn, but not much has changed. He has a nest of camo in here. This is the mine, this is the Liberto, this is the Caliban, this is the hacker, but of all these, the only one I know is the Liberto. You have a Taiga slave drone, Taiga. There was a slave drone here, it has now moved forward. There was a Taiga here, it has now dodged over here. Flashball Spot, Nexus, Icadron, Sheskeen, Missilebot, Flashball Spot, Dartok is right here, and then the Zeodron, you can't see him, but he's on this corner right here, watching long lanes like this and like that. Oh, one other important piece that's missing is Bit and then Kiss. Kiss was standing right here, but I did manage to kill Kiss. In fact, that's basically the only important kill I got throughout the, entirety of my first turn, but it will turn out to be an important one. Okay, so back to this picture. What did I try to do? Well, I wanted to use the Beast Hunter, just sort of see what happens and see how to use it. He has Super Jump, he has Marker State, he has a Flamethrower. I thought maybe he can get some work done. My hope was that I could take the Beast Hunter, who starts right here, and kind of proceed in this direction. I was thinking if I got discovered, I could then throw some discovers into this midfield camo stuff, staying far enough away from them that I won't get mined, but being close enough that I could Flamethrower if I discovered something. And then after that, I would run over to this direction and hopefully be able to, Flamethrower a Flashball Spot or maybe the Nexus. What actually happened is I really did not get much done. I started here, I moved out this way. At some point, I got discovered. I then moved across this direction while the slave drone dodged towards me. I took the opportunity to put a Flamethrower on Kiss, I think, or maybe I shot Kiss with my pistol, I'm not entirely sure, but I did manage to knock Kiss out. I then proceeded to move over here, and during that movement, I decided to finish Kiss off. Kiss is really annoying because of the pictures. I do have an obvious lieutenant over here, so I thought that was a good idea, and I still think it was a good idea. After that, I took the opportunity to re-camo behind here. That cost yet another order, and I was kind of hoping that I would have enough orders to run over here, get into CC with the Nexus, and take it out. Using this picture, I'm not sure it's really much better, but what actually happened is after re-camoing, the R-drone was able to discover me, and then the Taiga was able to dodge into close combat. I think the discover happens before the dodge, so what are you going to do? I am now locked up. All told, I spent an awful lot of orders on this Beast Hunter, and for my pain, I have killed a slave drone and Kiss, who was left on ARO, and that's about it. Not great. Talking about it after the game, Gyro and I kind of agreed that the Beast Hunter was not the right piece to use here. You really can't do much going straight into the teeth of a well-defended enemy deployment zone. And the fact that he survived and got even one kill is, I guess kind of nice. Instead, I probably should have tried to attack something else. This nest of camo is well defended, but it might have been a decent target. I can get line of fire onto some things from distance away, so maybe Dart could have gotten some kills. Maybe Hippolyta could have just stormed in there and done some damage. Or it's possible that I might have been able to use Hippolyta to, run over here and kill the Dartok or take out the tag or something like that. I don't know exactly what the right call would have been since I'm still not super familiar with this list archetype, but I do know that leading with the Beast Hunter just took a lot of orders and didn't get much done. Other than that, I spent my orders getting to a defensive position. I pulled the Liberto back because I didn't want Sheskeen eating him. Hippolyta moved out to here so I can get Flash Pulse arrows in this way. Machaon moved over to here. That's actually not where he's going to end up. I think he spent one more order and ended up standing in suppressive fire right here. Didn't really matter, but that's where he was. And then the Flashball spot moved to here so that I can get arrow on this corner. Yeah, this is what things look like. So what's going to happen? Well, Gyro knows that if he can kill Machaon, I'll be in loss of Lieutenant and he'll be ahead on Lieutenant kills. So what he wants to do is drop a pitcher near Machaon and then, proceed with the missile strikes from there. The problem is I've killed Kiss. So instead of being able to have Bit and Kiss rocket 3 pitchers across the board with high reliability, he is instead going to have to get Bit a lot closer because he might fail at only burst 1, and because he might fail, he cannot afford to make a sacrificial throw. Therefore, the first thing he does is berserk the Beast Hunter into the Taiga or something. They both get taken out. And then he is going to Cybermask Bit and proceed the marching. Cybermask is important because I have a lot of ARO watching this lane. I've got this guy has a long lane through like that, and of course Atalanta's out there somewhere. Atalanta is actually a really big deal here because it means that Bit will have to make sure that wherever she ends, she is not in line of fire to my deployment zone. because if she is in line of fire to my deployment zone and she gets discovered, I can just nuke her off the table if he's not careful. Hidden deployment Atalanta is over here, so it's not likely that she's going to get a shot, but Gyro doesn't know that. So marker state bit is going to cybermask, then proceed to here, get discovered in the process and have to re-cybermask, proceed to here. From this position, she is seeing only Machaon, and she's going to try to throw a repeater right there. Because Machaon sees, Machaon gets a dodge. I pass the dodge, and I dodge to this position using my extra 1 inch of dodging. I am therefore close enough to the pitcher that if, Machaon gets spotlit, the missile will hit the repeater, and he is thus safe. Now this pitcher placement is, of course, a pure mistake. He had not realized that I could do this, and if he had realized, he would have done something differently. And it's a mistake that's going to cost him the entire turn. He spent a lot of orders getting here, and it was really only worth it for the shot at killing my lieutenant and getting the points that entails. At the same time, because of Kiss's death, he might not even have succeeded at taking out Machaon with a spotlight anyway. He spent a lot of orders to get here, and I do have this proxy hacker in place to lob AROs if he tries to spotlight me. We actually can get even more insight into what happens if he tried to guide missile strike Machaon, because what he does is he tries to guide a missile strike Penny. He uses a command token to do burst 2 spotlight on Penny, but she wins the face-to-face roll anyway. He does it again, targets her that time, drops a missile on her, and she only takes 1 wound. So had he tried to do the same thing to Machaon, I don't exactly remember what the dice were. Penny is more survivable because of bioimmunity, but there is a chance that Machaon would even have survived that too. So really the successful part from my perspective is that I killed Kiss and that deprived him of a lot of orders. But, I'd be lying if I didn't also mention the fact that my dodge into close range of the repeater was something that really helped me a lot. And here we can see that situation. Here's Machaon, here's the repeater, here's wounded but not dead Penny. The final position looks something like this. You've got a Taiga here, you've got Bit here. There's another repeater over here. I forget why he threw that. And then there is a repeater right there. This is my turn 2, and it is when I let loose with Hippolyta. I think I moved something over so she has the full 10 orders. And to set the stage, let's talk about what's going on. You've got this repeater here, you've got Bit here, you've got an R drone over there, there's also a Nexus, and this whole thing is a Swiss cheese of long-range arrows. This Zeodron is seeing this lane, and this lane, and this lane, and so on. As we've mentioned, the Zeodron is a really annoyingly durable arrow threat, so a conventional shooting army could maybe spend a lot of orders shooting that thing and not having that much success. Hippolyta is going to proceed through all this unfazed. Her Impetuous is going to take her to here, and then she kills the repeater. She cautious moves to this position. She then swings around to here, but not in line of fire of that, to kill this repeater. Repeater's dead. I believe Machaon is able to run forward and throw some smoke for her, specifically I think right here maybe, in order to stop the Zeodron. The idea of that is that I want to kill this Taiga and kill Bit while taking as few chain rifles or whatever as possible. Switching over to this picture, which is kind of the aftermath, we can see one smoke got thrown here, another smoke got thrown here, and I think it only took like 2 or 3 orders in order to butcher everything. I think I shoot the Taiga in the face, I think I CC Kiss or Bit or whoever her name is, and it's just a bloodbath. I am now also halfway across the map with still a bunch of orders, so what to do? I think I maybe cautious move or something to here. I then move to this position and dodge around the corner to here. I am then able to run into close combat with the R drone and take it out. And then finally I swing around and kill the Nexus. I had been pretty sure there was smoke involved in this entire situation over here, but I don't see any in this screenshot, so maybe I'm just misremembering. In any event, Hippolyta does get targeted, but she is able to stand within 2 inches of an enemy piece, so she's not able to get missiled, and being in this position, she will potentially be able to reset if this Taiga activates, and throw flash pulse arrows or eclipse if things walk out as well. In my opinion, this is Hippolyta at her finest. It's not just that she killed a bunch of stuff. I'm not even sure she actually earned her points back fully. It depends on whether you award her full points for Bit being up here, for example. But what she has done is do damage and avoid enemy ARO in its entirety, and after all of that, still be in a really solid, really annoying position. Like, being targeted and impetuous and wounded in the opponent's deployment zone isn't, super great in the grand scheme of things. But I'm mostly doing this because I want to lock down this Taiga, and I want to prompt my opponent to actually have to deal with her. I'm a little worried that if I hid in this corner here, which I absolutely could have done, I'm a little worried that Cheskine would have run over and successfully eaten her or something, and I didn't really want that. So she has done damage. She has been extremely mobile. She has gotten all the way across the map very, very effectively, and she did so in the face of heavy enemy ARO and just, completely ignored that. And she did all of that solo. As a Steel Phalanx player, doing what I just described really is no problem, but I would have had to do it with an entire Enomatarkos. And if I did with the whole Enomatarkos, I would have to leave that Enomatarkos, over here in this corner. And to be honest, I'd be a lot less happy if I had to leave Oideros and Akbon and Pandora, up over here. It'd be a different situation, of course, but not necessarily a better one. Instead, I get the lightweight single model of Hippolyta, who is able to still be a pain after dealing all of that damage, and if I lose her, it's not that big of a deal. And actually, I don't even lose her. The first thing my opponent does is take Cheskine and run her over to here in order to shoot at Hippolyta. It turns out we're just outside 24 inches, and so my opponent has bad range. I throw Eclipse Smoke in order to avoid the face-to-face. I succeed, and Hippolyta is now in the Eclipse. Now this is at least a little bit lucky. It was lucky that we were outside 24 inches, and of course it was lucky that I won the face-to-face at all, considering burst and all that. But on the other hand, Hippolyta is always going to be throwing this Eclipse Smoke on 17s because of her Fizz, and it stops basically everything. And if it succeeds, that's it. No more shooting Hippolyta for the turn. I honestly think this is kind of a busted / toxic / degenerate interaction because of how powerful and how annoying the Eclipse dodge is. My opponent cannot afford to ignore Hippolyta. She is too dangerous. She is too close to his deployment zone. But because I got lucky in one face-to-face, he now cannot use the shooting tool in order to take her out. And in my opinion, that's a little bit unfair, unfun, non-interactive. It gets even more unfair, unfun though, because my opponent knows he has to kill Hippolyta, and so what he's going to do is take the Caliban, who I think starts right here, run the Caliban into CC, and try to take me out that way. With Surprise Attack, this is CC 23 versus CC 21, but it's just Burst 1 versus Burst 1, and I win the face-to-face, and Caliban gets exploded. Obviously, that was once again a little bit lucky for me, but in a Burst 1 versus Burst 1 scenario, there was something like a 40% chance that Hippolyta won the face-to-face, and if she wins, she is going to kill that thing. And the root cause of it is the Eclipse dodge. Because I won that face-to-face, my opponent has sort of no choice but to take this, mildly his favorite coin toss in order to take out Hippolyta, and that doesn't work. A lot of orders have been spent at this point. I don't remember exactly how many, but we're pretty much ready to wrap up. So it's now my turn 3, and I'll use this picture. I've still got a ton of orders. I'm at a big advantage in terms of points, and Hippolyta is starting over here and is ready to be dangerous. So what she's going to do is she's going to run to here. The Liberto had been moved up to be problematic. She's going to put him dogged in some capacity. She will also take out this Icadron here. At this point, I'll point out that Icadrons have BTS of 6, and literally everything that Cheskine has shot has had a BTS that is at least as high as its armor. The Breaker Rifle has done no good for me, and it has done harm. So, this Breaker Rifle is really annoying, especially because it costs more than a combi, but, it is what it is. Anyway, I take out this Icadron here. I have put this guy dogged and continue running far enough that I can ignore it. I throw Eclipse Smoke here so that Cheskine can't see, and then I run to this position. There's a missile launcher bot here that I'd like to take out, but of course the big prize is Cheskine. What I'd like to do is stay outside of Cheskine's line of fire for as long as possible. While I'm outside of her line of fire, I can potentially shoot her and maybe put some wounds on her or something like that. Once she faces me, I kind of have no choice but to move in for the CC kill because of her Pulsar. But if I can put even one wound on Cheskine, that'll be a big advantage. In terms of how I actually go about the kill, we're about equal in CC, but Hippolyta has Berserk. I know that Hippolyta's basically dead no matter what, so my plan would be if I do enough damage to Cheskine, I then berserk into close combat and hope that my incredibly high fizz and explosive close combat weapon can overcome the Prothion that Cheskine will be throwing back at me. Cheskine can heal at most 2 wounds, and I'm going to be inflicting at least 3 saves on her. So if she can start off wounded, I stand a good chance of being able to put her unconscious, even if she has Prothion. That isn't actually how it works out, though. Instead, I think Hippolyta is able to take out the missile launcher, Cheskine dodges, and in particular dodges to, I don't know, here or something like that to see Hippolyta, because Hippolyta was inside. That's enough to activate my trap card, which is Atalanta. Atalanta walks all the way over here, takes 1 shot on Cheskine, who is now in line of fire, and takes her out. And that kill really does wrap everything up. In the end, it's a pretty big victory for me. I've suffered almost no serious kills, and I've done a lot of damage. That said, neither of us played a perfect game. My first turn with the Beast Hunter was not that great at all. I mean, I killed Kiss, and that was important, but I spent a lot of orders doing it. At the same time, my opponent's first turn was a mistake. He had to run a bit all the way over here because he feared Atalanta, and then he managed to throw his repeater close enough that McCann could dodge in. Of course, I got lucky that I made that dodge, but he didn't need to give me the line of fire or put the repeater somewhere where I could dodge into it. My second turn, Hippolyta went on a rampage. She is really fast and really mobile, and there was a lot of air on this map that she was just able to ignore. I also want to stress how refreshing and fun it was to use Hippolyta. Her model is very clearly inspired by Wonder Woman, in my opinion, especially the Aristia profile, and this piece feels like that as she zips around the battlefield, shooting things, cutting off heads, throwing eclipse, and that sort of thing. I'd always considered Hippolyta to be the third one you pick after Oideros and Ajax in Steel Phalanx, and that might still be true in Steel Phalanx. But in this vanilla context, I'm really enjoying her. Would Oideros have been better? Mostly. But Hippolyta is who I have, and I'm really enjoying her. My opponent's turn 2 was very lucky for me in the sense that 1, I got the smoke down, and 2, I managed to explode the Caliban. But Hippolyta is able to force that kind of interaction, and it's important to note that that is a strength of hers, right? It's not just that I got outrageously lucky, it's that I have equipment that puts me in situations in which, I can get very lucky. Finally, on my third turn, Hippolyta was able to do more damage, and while it is true that Atalanta was the one that finally took out Cheskine, I think that Hippolyta could have done a berserk into her, and that might have worked as well. In the end, it was a fun game to play. Hippolyta was a fun piece to use, and hopefully it's been a fun battle report to watch. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you around.